Okay gamers, time to take a look at the monster first-person shooter, Doom. Doom is a popular PC game created by ID Software, who also created Wolfenstein 3D, and this game is kick-ass in every sense of the word. This title was a monster hit in the 90s, and started the transition from 2D gaming to 3D gaming. Console ports were highly anticipated, but it took a long time to make the game work on home consoles, because Doom is a huge game. The Jaguar port is arguably the best port of the game, and almost every other port was designed off it. The game is full screen, and has very good visuals and a very fast frame rate, though I wish the levels were a bit brighter. Your objective is to kill the enemy, and discover keys and secret passages and get stronger weapons, and collect health packs and armor, and get to the next level. The game is full of variety from a ton of different enemies. As well as many weapons, including your fist, a chainsaw which sounds perfect, a shotgun, the chain link gun, a rocket launcher, as well as the very cool plasma gun, and I am sure this is everyone's favorite, the BFG 9000, or the Big Frickin' Gun, which fires a single large green blast that explodes and can kill many enemies at once, and just looks awesome. As you have guessed, I am using cheat codes for this review, like Alien vs. Predator, to show you guys the cool stuff, but I personally don't like cheating, unless I'm getting revenge on an evil game. You will notice there is no in-game music. The reason why is the DSP processor, or Jerry chip, was used to handle collision detection and other features, and the Jerry processor didn't have enough processing power left to run in-game music. As I mentioned, the Jerry chip was capable of far more complex things, but they were never used. Well, turns out I was wrong in this case, because the programmers were able to use Jerry to get the maximum gameplay performance out of the Jaguar port. This meant to get the maximum performance, Jerry, which normally handles all audio, had to be tasked for game performance tasks, though the sound effects are unaffected, though you do get game music during intermission sequences. Ultimately, not having the music is a letdown, but getting excellent performance is an excellent trade-off, and it was the right call, though I suspect if they had released this on the Jaguar CD or with more development time, they might have been able to find a workaround. I almost forgot, this game, like Alien vs. Predator, uses the overlay keypad very well, and you can switch between weapons very quickly. In the end, guys, I'm giving Doom an A+, hands down. I would have rated this a triple Ace title if it had music during the gameplay, but ultimately that's a small loss. From the excellent visuals, variety of enemies, as well as some serious kick-butt weapons, and excellent gameplay, this is definitely a game to pick up for the Atari Jaguar. Okay guys, let's take a look at the 3D racing game, Checkered Flag. Checkered Flag is a 3D racing title that was developed by Rebellion. Yes, the company that created the awesome Alien vs. Predator made this game. And you think it would be good? Well, it's not. And I suspect either Atari didn't give them enough money to work on this title, or they were in a rush to get it finished, Or they had to take money from this game to finish Alien vs. Predator. Okay, as you can see, the game is fully 3D, but the graphics look outdated. The frame rate is okay, and I like the music and car sounds, but the controls have a lot of problems, and you crash super easily, and you will crash often. Now, the racer itself graphically doesn't look that great, and while you can change colors, but ultimately it doesn't look great. You have some different view styles, including standard when you start, as well as cockpit view, as well as zoom in view, where you see the car a lot larger, as well as two smaller views that allow you to see more of the track up ahead. There are several tracks to choose from, but they all look very similar. However, one interesting feature is you can have different weather conditions, including rain, which looks pretty decent, as well as fog, which is also interesting. Now, what's the one thing that would save this game? Multiplayer. And you would think it would have multiplayer, right? Well, nope. It doesn't. Yep, you can't even play with a friend. I'm sure you've guessed what title this is an inferior clone to? Yes, Virtual Racing. Now, I mentioned the graphics look outdated, but the question is, how outdated? Well, here's Virtual Racing on the 16-bit Sega Genesis. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you, this is a 16-bit game, and yes, this game is using the powerful SVP processor, or Sega Virtual Processor, and this is possibly the most powerful 16-bit game ever created. But you can tell the racer's graphics look better, and the engine sounds are better, and the frame rate is faster, and graphics are identical if not better than Checkered Flag, and this is a 16-bit game. You have the same multi-view options for Virtual Racing. Now, you can't change your racer's color, and there are only 3 tracks, but they at least have some variety to their design, and the controls are spot on. The music is not constant, but it's good music, and it's an enjoyable title. Now, a lot of you know, this game cost $100 when it was released, and Checkered Flag cost $70 at launch. But you can tell for $30 more, you're getting a much better game. And one feature that kicks Checkered Flag's butt is Virtual Racing as multiplayer. Yes, you can play with a friend, which makes this game that much better. In the end, I would rather pay $100 for the excellent 16-bit Virtual Racing than pay $70 for the disappointing Checkered Flag. Also, this is Virtual Racing Deluxe on the Sega 32X add-on, which is a 32-bit add-on. The graphics are 10 times better, the frame rate is considerably faster, and the racer's graphics blow Checkered Flag out of the water. And you can choose between 3 different racers, which look excellent. The controls are really good and the music is excellent, as well as the background graphics are amazing. You now have access to 5 different tracks, which all look really good, as well multiple view options for the racer. And to top it all off, this is also multiplayer, and this title, believe it or not, cost only around $50 at launch. In the end, Checkered Flag is a disappointment from the bad controls, outdated graphics, and no multiplayer. And even with a few interesting features, this is not a great title, and is just a poor Virtual Racing clone. Now, it is playable, and you can get it cheap, but if you're looking for a good racing title, get Virtual Racing. But if you want a lukewarm racing title on the Jaguar, then this one's not horrible. I'm giving this game a C-. It could have been better even with the bad graphics. If it would have been multiplayer and had good controls, it would have been a good game, but it's obviously an unfinished, rushed product, which is a shame because this could have been a good title. Okay guys, let's take a look at Kasumi Ninja, aka very horrible Mortal Kombat ripoff. And before I discuss the game, I wanted to give you a little backstory. Kasumi Ninja was supposed to have a story element to it, and you would unlock the characters as you went through the story. The game was rushed to get it released for the 1994 Christmas season, So the story element was removed, and this was turned into a Mortal Kombat clone. Okay, you start by selecting a character, and the select screen is in a 3D first-person perspective, which is interesting, but right away, there's a problem, because you can only choose between 2 characters. Yeah, you need to unlock the others. You select a character, see his stats, then select your opponent, then you enter the combat zone, and right away, you can see the controls are horrible and very difficult to use, and I'm getting my ass kicked. Now you do get used to the controls, but they're horrible. As you can see, I'm basically using kicks only because I couldn't figure out any of the other moves well enough, and I couldn't even figure out how to use the special moves, though as you can see, some of them are ridiculous. As you progress through the game, you unlock more characters, and you can choose any of them to battle your next opponent. There is a 2-player mode, but honestly, I and a friend tried it, and honestly, we were laughing trying to play the game because the controls are so bad. This game's only saving grace is the graphics. The graphics are really well done and colorful, as well as high resolution. The music is also another decent area. The music tracks are pretty good, but some are a bit too quiet. In the end, I'm giving this a D+. This could have been an A if the controls and special moves were all really good, but that's this game's problem. Graphically, this game is really good, but the horrible controls are what ruins this game. Even multiplayer doesn't save this game, assuming you can find someone with enough patience to play it with you. In the end, if you're looking for a good fighting title on the Jaguar, skip Kasumi Ninja, and try and get Ultra Vortex, which is a much better fighting title. Okay guys, we're taking a look at Iron Soldier. Iron Soldier is one of the best and highest profile titles for the Jaguar. Iron Soldier is basically a first-person shooter mech game where you're playing as a giant mech. As you can see, the levels are fully 3D, and you start with 4 levels to choose from, and there are a total of 16 to be played after they're unlocked. Okay, first, the controls will take some getting used to. The first time I played this, all I could figure out was how to fire and turn. I couldn't get the mech to move. But that's because I rarely read instruction manuals. Now the levels are pretty large and fully 3D, and I like the backgrounds, but very few of the buildings have any texture to them. Unlike Metalhead on the Sega 32X, which has considerable texture mapping, I'd say overall the graphics are higher resolution in Iron Soldier, especially in backgrounds, but Metalhead has more to look at. The mech is slow moving, but the frame rate is good, but I wish you could go faster. Like in Metalhead, their mech speeds are close, but you can speed up your mech in Metalhead, which is much better. Now the sound effects and music in Iron Soldier are excellent, and the enemies' explosions are really good. Unlike in Metalhead, where both areas have their problems. Now overall, this game is really good, and while I haven't given it much gameplay time, I am planning to give it considerably more because I like mech games. Now the enemies' graphics in both games are comparable, but Iron Soldier has the option to shoot up at combat helicopters, which look really good, and it's also fun to crush tanks and houses, but be careful, you can't take damage. The controller overlay will unlock additional weapons and movements, which you can pick up later in the game. You have an objective to complete in each stage while avoiding enemy gunfire. Overall, this is a really good, strong title and one of the best on the Jaguar. I am giving this an A+. I would give this a triple Ace rating if the mech was faster, as well if more texture mapping was used. If you're looking for a solid title for the Jaguar, and you can handle slower paced games, then Iron Soldier is for you, because overall it's a really great game. Tune in next time as we take a look at more Atari Jaguar titles. This is the Entertainment Wizard, signing off.